Hi, I'm Megan Elliott, co-founder and managing director of GingerCloud Foundation. Thanks so much for joining us for series 3 of our podcast series, Creating an Inclusive Tribe. The aim of this third series is for you to share with us your stories of community, the barriers to inclusion and participation that you see in your community, and how you're creating an inclusive tribe. Today we'll be asking some of our fantastic parents key questions that helps us understand who you are, why inclusion matters to you personally, the barriers you see, and what you've done to champion the inclusion of girls, boys and young adults with autism, Asperger's or other learning and perceptual disabilities. We want to hear about these things from your perspective as a parent of a person with a learning and perceptual disability. So hi Rhiannon, how are you? Hope you're well.
Good.
I guess first off, tell us a little bit about you and you and your family structure.
So it is just me and Tyrese, who is my son who plays MRP, and then my mum and dad help out a lot. So my dad's at most of the MRP things with me.
Tell us about some of your values as a mum. You know, obviously we're always incredibly inspired by you and what you do and what Tyrese means to you. So tell us a little bit about your values as a person and as a mother.
I guess I'm also a teacher, so I kind of pull it all in. I think just trying his best and, being kind and honest and caring, and he kind of does a good job at that. But I think just trying his best to be the best person that he can be. And we work together on that.
And how about you? What you as a person, what do you think makes you so passionate about what you do? And,
I don't know. I'm also a foster carer, so I think just giving kids, I guess, something that helps them, like whether it's a person or, a safe weekend away, just something that shows them that somebody cares, somebody's in their corner.
Yeah. And no, that's great. And I guess more to that, tell us a little bit about how long you've known about GingerCloud and the Modified Rugby program, like how that all happened for you and your family.
I have known about it since it's been in Townsville. So was that 3 years?
3 years, yeah.
There we go. So 3 years, and I don't remember how we found out about it. I think it was on Facebook. And Tyrese has always been super sporty. So we joined, we had tried some things beforehand that didn't really succeed, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, we found MRP was just, he could be himself and still experience success and still learn the skills and be part of a team, I guess, without missing out on the core component of it.
This is obviously something that's very important to you, but there's a barrier that you see to participation and inclusion, and so you're stepping out to try and break those barriers down. So what are some of the things that you've experienced, and what are the ways that you're addressing those things?
I think in terms of Tyrese, just finding friends, like something as simple as just finding kids that he can call friends.
Yeah.
Like especially at school, he has kids that look after him or, mother him or whatever, but they're not necessarily friends. So it's nice to have, he gets excited to see his friends that, are actually friends and are similar to him, and he feels welcome and a part of, instead of feeling, like the different kid or the weird kid to the corner, like he's just included, he's welcomed, he just loves it.
And what sort of, you talked about his friends, what sort of things have happened, for him and his broader community since you've got involved?
He now teaches the kids at school, so the neurotypical kids how to play football. Or at least that's what they tell me. So he attempts to teach them all how to play football, which is really lovely for him.
That's fantastic.
Even if he's not doing it right, they all listen and they love, like he goes out and plays with them and attempts to teach them his rules of football. But we've never really had success at school, and even just the little things of MRP kind of just bring it all together and give him, little successes and the confidence to tell everybody else how to do it.
And I think that's the great thing, isn't it? Like, we've all struggled with school. I still think about Max. I was just speaking to another mum and saying, we were told by apparently, the school, the specialist that, at 7 that Max would never speak, never read, never write.
Yeah, we got the same one.
It's just, and it's now unbelievable to me that people feel that they have the right to say those things about your own child. And one of the things I love is that you learn pretty quickly to go like, and why. And I was speaking to Sally just before, and I said, I just feel so grateful that we had the little angel or whatever it was on my shoulder as I wept for an hour after getting that kind of diagnosis from a school, not even a paediatrician. It was from a school association, and that a little birdie on my shoulder or whatever it was said, tough call at 7. Like, he's 7. How are you going to predict the rest of his life at 7?
And as a teacher, it's so they're so quick to label, like. And even now I see it and it infuriates me. Oh, but he's ASD. Yes, I understand that, I do. But that doesn't mean that he can't learn. It just means that it's different. And it really upsets me because they're like, granted, Tyrese at 5 couldn't read. He still can't, but couldn't read, couldn't write, had issues toileting, everything. And he's come so far by us just saying, well, let's just see what he can do. Like, let's just keep pushing him until he can't do it. Like. And he just keeps growing and growing. And, even at school, he's been very fortunate in saying that, though. He's had fantastic teachers that, notice the little things. But, yeah, even I think in the community, but also in schools, it's very, it can go both ways. It can go, he's ASD or whatever the disability is, he can't do it, or it can, he's ASD. And so we just won't bother. We'll just let them do, run a mark call because that's okay.
Yeah, and it's really, as you say, from a community perspective, that's the thing that always was our, the thing that wakes me up in the middle of the night, or woke me up, less so now, was, where would Max do life from a community perspective, particularly when we weren't here anymore, to protect him, which has been our huge drive for what we've done, creating a place where the kids feel safe and secure, where they're understood, where they experience success and where they can belong. And so, looking forward into Tyrese's life, like, how important is that community support for him, and what does that mean for you as well?
For me, it's awesome. For Tyrese, I think it's just he's found the one thing that he's amazing at. So, we put up the newspaper clippings of him. It's everywhere.
So I've got goosebumps. That's such a beautiful thing.
They're everywhere. Like, Granddad's just got him a brand new water bottle ready for football with his name.
Wow.
It's just the little excitements, the new footy boots, because it's something that he really loves, and no matter what, he has success at his level.
Yeah.
And for me, I think, and especially with some of the other MRP mums here, it's just really lovely to have a little network where we can bounce ideas off, where we can go bowling, and if a kid has, a meltdown or whatever, it's cool. We don't care. There's no judgment. I think that's the nicest thing for me as a parent, is no matter what, we always have this little group of mums that kind of help each other out. And even with the emotional stress or staying awake at night, they help with that, because they just give you a sense of hope with, positivity, or helping you with a small problem that you thought was massive, or it's just lovely to have and I know the other mums have said the same thing, to have a group where we can go out and there's no judgment. The kids can be themselves, we can be ourselves. There's no judgment, there's no labeling. It's just socializing, I guess.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? And we were only talking about this to some friends the other day. We, because Max was 11 when we started developing the, GingerCloud and the MRP, and all of our friends in the area by that stage were all playing rugby from under 6 and under 7. And it wasn't just Max, because he was our first. we just didn't have any friends, like not through any fault of no one wanting to be your friend. It's just that we couldn't go out. You couldn't, that social isolation through no fault of anyone's. It wasn't a deliberate thing, but it just happened because it was so brutal, at that time. And to have then, like you, a place where we could go. I remember having my first red wine in winter, looking out onto the rugby field, and I never thought that would really happen for us. Not just Max, but for all of us. And because, Lara plays at touch now as well. And I think that's the interesting thing about the fabric of a rugby club. It's a really, because when people join rugby clubs, they come back as, golden oldies, they stay on. It is. And it's kind of, from they're at 7, but then a lot of them come back in their 60s and 70s, and it's that hub of that place. And I remember describing that to, one of the classic Wallabies, and whose whole life kind of still revolves around the club in a really positive way. And I remember saying to him, you've always had that, but we know what it's like not to have that. So that's why it's so important for us, for everyone, for all of our kids and all of our girls and young adults and everyone to have that really safe place for people. And I think that was the most difficult, not the difficult consequence, but maybe the one that we'd least expected. Like we hoped it would be good for Max, but the fact about how we felt about it as parents, I think, was the really powerful kind of part of it too. So I'm so pleased that is what you're experiencing.
I think it's overlooked too, because it's such a basic thing, I guess. Like you join a team and then the team becomes family, but it's so much harder, one, to find a team.
Yeah, totally.
that they can participate in, and two, just to, I don't know, find a team that's so open to everybody's differences and nurturing them instead of kind of trying to drill it out of them. Or, I think it's nice. It's a very small thing, but it means a massive deal for us, I guess. Like, it is hard to explain if you've always kind of had it.
And that's the weirdest thing, isn't it? Is to say it's almost, because it's been an expectation, other people can't imagine what it would be like without it, except when you try and explain to them what it's like without it, and then you see this is why it is very lonely. And to see your children lonely is one thing, but to feel lonely in yourself as well, that social unconscious exclusion, it rocks your confidence, it's your self-esteem, it's all of those things. And then to have that little sideline where you can go, for you guys it's every Thursday and Friday, it's really lovely. So I'm so pleased to hear that's been really, really good for you as well. I just wonder about too, what are some of the other barriers that you see in terms of inclusion and participation, like whether it's school or just life in general? Like what are some of the other things well, there are a lot, aren't there? Yeah.
I think at school, because I have a joint degree of teacher special needs.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I have that, and then I'm also a teacher of mainstream kids, and then obviously I have other special needs children as well. But I think the biggest issue is, trying to put it politely, they put them in a box, and it's normally a box a lot lower than what the kid is capable of, a lot lower, and then that's where they stay for most of their schooling, because one teacher talks to another who then might talk to an admin member, and this kid just stays in this box of they can't do it, or it's too hard, or it's all day every day of or little things like making very small adjustments for them, like letting them fidget, simple things like that. I think the worst is they put a label, they put a box, and the kid is a lot lower than where they should be because they're treated as such. So that's probably the worst part from I guess a teaching standpoint. And I think like I'm also ADD, so I'm medicated for ADD, and that was only recent. So before that, it was a bit different. And even now I can see, like, I guess before that I was kind of ignorant in the fact that I was like, oh, yep, kids can't pay attention, they need to be medicated, yep, cool. And then I was medicated and diagnosed, and it's very different because it's the little things like the emotion or the anger or the, you know, enough to concentrate to do a task or to play a game, that the kids, even when medicated, still struggle. And we kind of just say, like, well, it's just tough luck. Like, suck it up, move on. And the poor kids are left kind of feeling deflated and no strategies because we just put them aside. Like, we don't look at the kid itself, I guess. We kind of look at the labels or the behaviours, and yeah.
Well, it's just, I was only smiling before because Sally said the analogy was exactly the same. She said a box, people had put Rosie in a box and they'd put the lid on and that was it. And it's a really, really small box. And she said the best thing to me before, I said, what's one of your strategies as a family? And she said, we look up and we look out. And I went, oh God, that was so beautiful, because one of the things I guess that has always been said to us is, like, same thing with Max. We said, if you set a low expectation, our young people will achieve them every time. If you set a higher expectation, they'll also achieve it. So why are we going for the low ones? I don't understand, particularly when we don't neurologically understand enough about how our children can grow. So why would we assume that they can't when we have no idea what their true level, you know, really is? And I'm like you. It's like a presumption that they are one way before you even get to know them or have a conversation with them. People are making almost instant judgments without trying to understand it's a bit like, you know, judging someone by what they're wearing when they walk in the room. You know, you've got a preconceived idea before they even speak to you.
And normally it's a very like, it's not normally the right. It's not like they have all of the facts, so they're using those facts. It's like preconceived notions, you know, like, there's so many at school, but like little things like ASD kids can't learn, you know, social behaviours. And you're like, well, they can. They can. They just need to be taught in different ways or in more ways. And yeah, I just think Tyrese, up until, you know, he was 5, kind of stagnant, and then he just grew. Like, once he understood that he could do whatever he wanted, he'd do it. And even if he didn't succeed, he'd still try his very best to do it. And he's happy because he at least got to try, and everyone around him is happy.
And so what are some of the things that you do, you know, I guess consciously or unconsciously, that you try to remove those barriers or raise awareness about removing those barriers? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, raising awareness is hard. That is the hardest part, I think. For Tyrese, like in our family setting, we don't limit him to anything.
Yeah.
So nothing. If he wants to try something, unless it's unsafe, obviously, he tries it. If he, you know, we don't ever say, you know, you can't do it, or he just tries. At some point, he's going to have to be in society where they, you know, have jobs and they go to the shops, and so he has to try. And you know, he actually loves it. Doing lots of those little things that, you know, he's going to have to.
Yeah.
You can't just kind of go, oh, but that's too hard, we just won't do it. Yeah. And I guess through that, he's learned, like, we go to restaurants all the time. He understands. Yes, it took practice. He understands the behaviours of a restaurant.
Yeah.
Now we're doing the whole, you're a young adult. So, you know, what do young adults do? And he'll tell you. And we use, like, my older brothers, because they live with my parents where Tyrese visits a lot, and we use them as examples. So, you know,
oh, great.
If you want to be big and strong, you have to copy the boys. If you want, and he loves it. Like, he's kind of clear on where he wants to aim, and we just give him the tools to do it, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, because how old is Tyrese now? 11.
Yeah, I know.
Wow, that time has absolutely, you know, Max will be 18 in April.
It's crazy,
It is just crazy. It goes insanely quickly. And I just feel so thankful that we have them now, not in a generation before. How different, and probably, we would have known so much less. I certainly know I would have known less. But I remember, people say to me, "Oh, so, how do you know what to do, what you do?" And I say, I don't know.
You work it out as you go.
We're just talking to people, and it's like, you don't get a rule book for how to raise, a neurotypical child, and you certainly don't get a guidebook for how to raise a child with, or a young adult with really specific needs. But I figure the more we talk about it, and the more stories we share, and like, because one of the things I love about what you do is all the newspaper stories.
Yeah.
That raises massive awareness. Because you're super proud, everyone else is super proud, and for once we're sharing with everyone the amazing success stories that our children have, not what they can't do. It's look, this is what, we have to modify things, and yes, we've got an amazingly supportive club who's really behind us, but when we support Tyrese, this is what he can achieve, and this is what our life can look like. It's just like, you just want to say to people, just give us the benefit of the doubt, and look at the potential in our young people and what they can contribute.
And I think that's the hardest thing, because people will ask me, "Well, what do you do, when he gets older, or when he's 18?" And you're like, "I have no idea." Like, it just depends on how far he grows. Like, it's so unpredictable. He has grown so far in the last, 5 or so years, but I don't know what's going to happen in the future. Like, we just have to be open to everything. He can, as long as he can function in society and he can, be part of a community, then we kind of go from there, I guess.
I agree. Well, thank you so much, Rhiannon. It's really, really lovely to talk to you. I'm going to be up in Townsville soon, so I'll make sure come and say hello when I'm there. But I think, one of the things that I love so much about speaking to everyone is just sharing our stories, and how sometimes they're so similar and sometimes they're different, but that passion for what, the life that we want our young people to have is so consistent with everyone we speak to. So thank you for being part of our community, and for everything that you do. It's really exciting.